Imagine you'd taken these selfies and then your 13-year-old son accidentally comes across them, so you fly into a fit of rage and murder him. Dylan Redwine and his older brother Corey were the children of Elaine and Mark. Elaine and Mark had been together for 18 years, but things just weren't working out anymore and they actually decided to get a divorce. It was a little bit of a messy divorce. It was a lot of kind of back and forth, and the boys just ended up kind of siding more with their mum. They weren't happy with the way that the dad, Mark, was treating her, and they just didn't like the situation. So they ended up living with Elaine full time. They did have to still spend time with Mark. It was kind of like a court ordered thing, you know, when you're under the age of 18 and you have to spend time with both parents. It was that kind of situation. So even though they didn't really like it, they did still used to see Mark. During a father and son bonding trip, the boys are using the dad's laptop occasionally, and they actually end up coming across some photos that are extremely disturbing. Photos that Mark had taken of himself, and they are just horrific. You can see some of the pictures actually on Reddit, but if you've got a weak stomach, I wouldn't recommend going and looking. But basically, Mark is wearing makeup, he's wearing like a red bra, and for some unknown reason, he's eating human feces out of a baby's nappy. The boys don't say anything, they're absolutely gobsmacked, and they just look at each other in complete disbelief, and they close the laptop, act as though nothing had ever happened, but they can't look at their dad the same again. A few months later, it's Thanksgiving, and Dylan has to go and spend it with his dad. I think because Corey is 18 years old at this point, he doesn't have to go, so it would just be Dylan going on his own, and he really didn't want to, but his mum kind of said, you're gonna have to, you can do it, it's just like, just get it over and done with, basically. Mark picks Dylan up from the airport. Dylan flies there on his own, and he picks him up, and even while they're at the airport, Dylan's literally already texting one of his friends that lives there to try and arrange to meet him, so he doesn't have to spend as much time with his dad. He's literally already like, what should we do tomorrow? He arranged to see his friend the next morning quite early on, and he sends his last text that evening. His friend texts him the next morning when he doesn't show up, but he doesn't get a response. And later on that day, Mark rings Elaine and says, do you know where Dylan is? And it's like, he's literally just got on a plane yesterday to come and see you. Why are you ringing me to ask me if I know where he is? Why would I know where he is? He's with you. Anyway, Mark basically says, well, I don't know where he is, so he's missing. So Elaine and Corey and Elaine's new partner, because this is years after they split up, they all get in the car immediately and set off to go and see what's going on. When they're on the way there, Corey thinks that he should probably tell his mum the truth about everything that happened with the pictures, just in case it is linked to him going missing. Corey tells his mum that he'd actually had an argument with his dad, and he'd brought up the pictures and basically said like they thought it was disgusting, and he said that Dylan also had seen the pictures. At this point, Elaine and her new partner and Corey are all very suspicious of Mark because it does seem unusual. Mark's ex-wife is also suspicious of Mark. She rings the police and says that she had once got into an argument with him because he was very abusive. During this argument, he said that he could kill their kids, and also in a separate argument, he said that if he ever killed somebody, he'd hide the body in the mountains. Police are called, it turns into an entire missing persons investigation, and everybody is just doing their best to try and find anything that could link them to finding Dylan. Mark and Elaine and Corey go on the Dr. Phil show, which I just find really unusual, and Mark is kind of just saying he doesn't know what's going on, he doesn't know where he is, and Corey outright says that he thinks that his dad has got something to do with it, and Mark just spends the whole time kind of trying to stick up for himself. It's very weird. Police are doing all kinds of tests. Obviously a lot of them are done in Mark's house, in the apartment, because that is the last place that Dylan was known to be. They actually find traces of blood in his house in the living room. Then when they were doing some more investigations outside in the mountain areas, because of course Mark lives near a mountain area, which is where he always said he would hide a body if he ever killed someone, they find a pair of headphones that match Dylan's. They also found a shoe, a sock, and other items of clothes. Cadaver dogs also picked up the scent of human remains in Mark's living room, on Mark's clothing, and also in the boots of Mark's car. Shortly after, human remains were found up in the mountains, and they were tested and they were confirmed to be Dylan. Years and years later, a hiker came across a human skull. This was tested and this was also confirmed to be Dylan's, and the skull showed visible signs of blunt force trauma. Because of this, Mark is arrested in 2017. After a lot of delays, he finally ended up getting sentenced to 48 years for second-degree murder and also child abuse.